Welcome to PDAC 2023. My name is Julian DeRosie from the IIF. I'm here today joined by Sam. Sam, how are you doing?
Very well, Julian. Thanks for having me here.
That's great to have you. So Sam, first of all, could you introduce yourself and the company you're representing?
Sure. My name is Sam Lee. I'm the president and CEO of Northisle Copper and Gold.
Well, this is good. So I hear copper, I hear gold. Where are you guys located?
Well, this is predominantly a copper deposit. It's about 60% by revenue and 33% gold. That's defined by a preliminary economic assessment of approximately $1.1 billion NPV after tax, 8%. That also yields about a 20% IRR, and that produces approximately 100 million pounds of copper and 100,000 ounces of recoverable gold for 22 years.
Well, those are big numbers.
Those are big numbers. The way I describe it is a very big project with a massive gold credit.
And would that project be open pit? Is it underground? How does it look like? And again, where is it located?
Sure. So it is an open pit mine located in British Columbia on the northern part of Vancouver Island, right next to BHP's Island Copper Mine. Yep. So it's a area that has historically been known for mining, forestry, and fishing, and still is known to this very day. The open pit is obviously the starter operation, and our job, quite frankly, is to answer the question, starter pit to what? And so we are very actively exploring areas that could potentially increase our starter operation by 40 to 50 million tons in Northwest Expo, which we're looking to come out with an additional resource this year. But then the big question is, what do we have in this Pemberton Hill deposit, which is only 7 kilometers away and could potentially host the bigger, deeper porphyry system that's 50 to 100 years.
Hold on. So big numbers and still some blue skies and maybe even more discoveries on the property.
That's exactly it. I think what people just need to understand, this is underpinned by already billion-dollar project with a 5 billion pound copper equivalent indicated resources, and then the blue sky on the exploration can go on forever.
So when you're hearing that there's scarcity in copper, that we're going to be needing more copper, how excited are you to maybe your project being able to fill a part of that in the next decade or so?
So that's the reason why I'm doing this. Julian, I was a metallurgist by training, but I spent over 20 years as an investment banker at CIBC. I've worked on some of the largest deals in the space, over $100 billion of M&A transactions, and within that $100 billion, it's for projects like this. This is where the world needs to be. Right now, today, $1.2 trillion needs to be spent on critical metals to get to the 1.5 degree aspirational goals of climate change. Yep. Of that $1.2 trillion, $750 billion needs to be spent on copper projects. And I can guarantee you there doesn't exist that many projects in the pipeline today.
Well, one thing is sure, what we saw usually in mining is that big discoveries, so mammoth deposit like the one you're having right now, and those, we're waiting a full mining cycle to go into production. It seems that this, with what we need right now, with the, as you said, the 1.3 trillion that needs to be invested and so on, we might accelerate that and see discoveries like yours actually being brought to production on a lot shorter term. Could that be correct?
I think that that needs to be correct. I don't think we have a choice if we want to get to our climate goals. And so what is intensely critical with that objective is to have support from our community, our First Nation groups, and our government. And we just announced, I'd say, a groundbreaking agreement with one of our First Nation partners, Quitsino, in December, whereby we don't go through our permitting process unless we have their consent. And this has been really well received by the provincial government and the federal government as being kind of the beacon and the way that things will get developed in Canada. Keep in mind, Canada used to be the largest copper producer in the world. Now it's obviously emerging to become that again. Yep. But within Canada, British Columbia is the largest copper producer in Canada. So we are in the right address, the right commodity, and the right time.
But it seems with the right management. So can you tell us about the share structure of the company?
Sure. So we just did an offering to 3 cornerstone investors that own over 30% of the company, and this was an at the market, no warrant offering, which is quite significant because these three shareholders understand how deeply discounted our value is. And these people have been beacons in the industry. One is our chairman, Dale Corman, who bought Penasquito for $2 million in 2000, and then sold it to Glamis, which is now Newmont, obviously, for $1.2 billion in 6 years. The second shareholder is Donald K. Johnson, who is a legend on Bay Street. He is the vice chairman at BMO, but he's probably best known, at least in the financial market, for taking a shell company, Go Easy, which is now a well over $2 billion market cap company in a very short period of time. So these are people that have made billions of dollars for themselves and for their shareholders that are fundamentally in belief of what we're saying. And the third one is perhaps from my generation, our generation, I should say, Michael Gentili, who is the prodigious investor that everyone associates with having the foresight, thought leadership, and putting his money where his mouth is. So across the three of those individuals, they hold over 30%. I myself, I didn't take a salary for the first year and took it all in options, and then subsequently I've purchased nearly 3 million shares, including as part of this last offering.
Well, this is good to hear, because one of the big challenges of those projects is you need to be surrounded. You need to have a team that actually knows how to bring exploration into production, how to finance it, how to protect the share structures of your shareholders. I hear that with your lights financing, this is what you did, not getting free warrants just for the fun of it, not creating dilution, and having real partners, actually, not just shareholders that want to get rich on the back of the company, but actually wants to support the company, which is critical in such projects to be able to bring it and be accredited for everyone in there.
Correct.
So this is awesome to hear. So financing is not an issue, management is not an issue. So then all of you guys together, what do you want to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Right. So what we've raised enough money for now and are fully financed for is to get Northwest Expo to that 40 to 50 million tons of incremental resources at about 1 to 1.2 grams per ton. So that we're fairly confident that that's going to happen. And that's going to be a huge catalyst, because if you think about it, that project alone, everyone can do the math, is bigger than some companies that are currently trading at $50 to $100 million right now, minus the fact that we have 5 billion pounds of copper equivalent in our resource base today. So that's our first priority. Our second priority is Pemberton Hills, which is a massive, as I started to say, buried porphyry system that could potentially answer the question, okay, you've got 24 years of mine life here, how do you get to 50, how do you get to 100 years? And so that's drill ready. $5 million has already been spent on targeting our drilling program, and now we're drill ready once we receive our permit. So advancing that and finding the big discovery. It hasn't had the discovery hole yet, but that is what we were looking forward to as it relates to Pemberton Hills. And then there are, of course, companies that exist in today's market that are currently trading at billions of dollars because of those discovery holes.
And one thing is sure, those sounds like an exciting 12 months upcoming. Maybe the last question, what about environmental permitting? We touched like the native things like absolutely amazing what you guys did with an agreement with them, putting them up front actually rather than behind, which is really great to hear. But then surely water study, environmental, how are you guys moving on that front?
Okay, so maybe I'll start answering that top down. So environmental is all about political will and support from First Nations and community, right? So we believe we have all three. Obviously at the federal level, we've got the critical metal strategy that was announced in December, $4 billion spent. Copper is one of 5 of the critical metals that have been identified. So that is at the federal level. At the provincial level, I think I've described, we've got the support from former Minister Ralston on our project around the steps that we're taking with our First Nation partners and how that's going to make British Columbia the beacon for the world in terms of producing critical metals responsibly from an ESG perspective. So what do we need to actually do in place today in order to move the project along? Well, we've initiated baseline studies on the most important things, weather and water, and we are continuing those studies throughout the course of the next year. In the end, the challenge for us will always be to make sure that we are faithfully keeping our partners, including First Nations, communities, and governments, motivated to build this project forward, which is what we continue to do. So it's not an exciting thing that we're doing from an investor's perspective, but it's absolutely critical. All of these bits and pieces of progress that we're making as it relates to establishing that political and First Nation will.
Well, this is very, very interesting. Sounds like a great project. The numbers are amazing. We'll be looking forward to continue to follow the story. I mean, the next 12 months seems... It's something difficult to say with already what you have as resources, but we're going to be looking for that discovery hole. So this is quite exciting for sure. And for shareholders right now, or one that wants to continue or wants to know more about your company, how can they follow the story? How can they get on the newsletter? How can they communicate with you guys?
Sure. So they can reach out to info@northisle.ca. That's our main board where we collect information to send out news releases and other forms of communication. We're very active on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. That's another way to do it. And then, of course, go on our website, which is where all the information exists, www.northisle.ca.
Perfect. Well, I invite everyone to follow on YouTube, follow on LinkedIn, follow on the other social media, write them, get on the newsletters. Sam, thank you very much for your time. It seems like an incredible project, an incredible 12 months ahead. Best of luck.
Thank you very much, Julian. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.